Indiana's not a team that's hung their hat on their defense to this point. We just got to focus on winning the next game. This is, obviously losing at home. We've been really good. Losing at home stinks. And, Kelsey Mitchell in front of our bench, 3-2-1, has to shoot a three. And we stayed off her, and she drains a three.
You won't believe what Cheryl Reeve just said about losing to Caitlin Clark. The Minnesota Lynx coach's confession has sent shockwaves through the WNBA. What could have made such an experienced coach eat her words? Let's break it down. The Minnesota Lynx versus Indiana Fever game was supposed to be just another match, but it turned into a showcase of Caitlin Clark's incredible talent. Reeve, known for her strategic mind, seemed confident before the game, but what happened next? It left everyone stunned. Reeve's post-game comments were not what anyone expected. She didn't make excuses or downplay Clark's performance. Instead, she dropped a truth bomb that has everyone talking. But first, let's rewind to before the game. Cheryl Reeve was brimming with confidence. You could feel it in her words. She wasn't worried about the Caitlin Clark hype or the crowd support for the Indiana Fever. In fact, Reeve's pregame comments were bold, to say the least. Remember what she said? "I don't care what nobody say. There's going to be a lot of people cheering for that other side. I give 2 shits. How about 1? Not even 1 shit." Those are strong words from a seasoned coach. Reeve was ready for battle, and she thought her team was too. But sometimes basketball has a way of humbling even the most confident coaches. The game unfolded, and it wasn't what Reeve expected. Not by a long shot. The Indiana Fever, led by none other than Caitlin Clark, came out swinging, and boy did they connect. What happened on that court, it was like watching a different game than the one Reeve had planned for. Clark and her teammate Kelsey Mitchell were on fire. Mitchell was draining threes from the corner like it was nothing. And Clark? She saved her best for last, lighting up the fourth quarter. You could see the change on Reeve's face as the game progressed. That pre-game confidence, gone, replaced by a look of disbelief and frustration.
When Caitlin got that tech, was it because she kind of got Chechi in the face, or what was that?
Yeah, so it's called a flail. I mean, it's a flail whether you hit him in the face or not. It's a flail if you make contact. It's a technical because the clock is stopped. I thought they played well. Obviously it was a passionate game for both teams.
It's not every day you see a coach's game plan fall apart like that, but the real shocker came after the game. Reeve's post-game comments were a complete 180 from her pre-game bravado. Listen to what she said. "I think the stuff that we did, we don't really know what else we could do. Our offense is putting so much pressure on our defense." That's not all. Reeve went on to say, "Our true field goal percentage killed us. Some of the turnovers at costly times really hurt us. It's rare to hear a coach admit they're out of answers, but that's exactly what Reeve did." And so what changed? What made Reeve go from not giving a shit to admitting they didn't know what else to do? It was Caitlin Clark's performance, plain and simple. Clark didn't just play well, she changed the game. She made plays that left the Lynx scrambling, searching for answers they couldn't find. And it wasn't just Clark's on-court performance that got to Reeve. It was the atmosphere, the excitement, the buzz around Clark and the Fever. Reeve couldn't ignore it anymore. She even compared Clark's impact to some of the greatest players in NBA history. Here's what Reeve said about Clark's effect on the league. "Everybody knows that the reason why our teams around the league are having sellouts are because Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are coming to town." That's high praise, comparing Clark's arrival to the impact of legends like Bird and Magic in the NBA. From dismissing the Clark effect to acknowledging her game-changing presence, Reeve's journey in this single game is a testament to Clark's talent. It's not often you see a coach's strategy and confidence crumble so completely in the face of a rookie's performance, but that's exactly what happened here. Now let's talk about what really happened on that court. What did Caitlin Clark do that left Cheryl Reeve speechless? How did she turn the game upside down and make a seasoned coach question everything? Picture this. The Lynx are up by 7 going into the fourth quarter. They're feeling good, thinking they've got this game in the bag. But then something changes. Clark, who's been relatively quiet, suddenly switches gears. It's like she just downed a shot of espresso and decided it was time to take over. What happened next was nothing short of spectacular. Clark started making plays that had the Lynx scratching their heads. She was threading passes through impossible gaps, hitting shots from downtown and making the defense look like they were playing in slow motion. But it wasn't just Clark's individual brilliance that stood out. She was elevating her entire team. Remember that three-pointer Kelsey Mitchell hit? The one Reeve couldn't stop talking about? That was all set up by Clark's court vision and leadership. Reeve said it herself. "Kelsey Mitchell in front of our bench. 3-2-1 has to shoot a 3 and we stayed off her and she drains a 3. That's the Clark effect right there. She draws so much attention that her teammates get wide open looks. But here's the kicker. Clark wasn't just just dominating on offense. She was changing the entire flow of the game. The Lynx's game plan thrown out the window, their defensive schemes useless against Clark's creativity and unpredictability. Reeve admitted as much when she said, "I think the stuff that we did, we don't really know what else we could do." Can you imagine being a coach with years of experience and suddenly feeling like you're out of options? That's the kind of impact Clark had. What's even more impressive is how Clark did all this under intense pressure. The Lynx weren't going easy on her. They were playing physical, trying to throw her off her game. But Clark, she stayed cool as a cucumber. She didn't let the hard fouls or the defensive pressure get to her. Instead, she used it as fuel to light up the fourth quarter. And light it up she did. Clark led the Fever to put the beats on them late in the fourth, as Reeve put it. It wasn't just about scoring points. It was about making the right play at the right time, every single time. Think about it. How many rookies can come into the league and completely dismantle a team's defensive strategy? How many can force a coach like Reeve to admit that their offense was putting so much pressure on our defense? That's the thing about Clark. She's not just a scorer. She's not just a playmaker. She's a game changer in every sense of the word. She doesn't just beat you. She makes you question everything you thought you knew about defending her. But we're not done yet. Clark's impact goes beyond just this one game. The ripple effects of her performance are being felt across the entire league. Stay tuned, because we're about to dive into how Clark is changing the face of the WNBA one game at a time. You won't believe what Cheryl Reeve had to say about Caitlin Clark after the game. Her words are shaking up the WNBA world. What insights did this experienced coach share, and how might it change the way teams approach Clark in the future? Let's dive into Reeve's candid assessment. She didn't hold back when talking about Clark's impact on the game. Reeve said, "Everybody knows that the reason why our teams around the league are having sellouts are because Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are coming to town." That's huge praise from a coach who's seen it all. But Reeve didn't stop there. She compared Clark's influence to some of the greatest players in basketball history. She mentioned Bird and Magic, saying Clark's arrival is a watershed moment for the league. That's not something you hear every day about a rookie. And what's really interesting is how Reeve broke down the challenges of playing against Clark. She talked about specific moments that changed the game. Remember that three-pointer by Kelsey Mitchell? Reeve pointed out how their defense fell apart in those crucial moments. She said, "We had end of shot clock defense that gave up two situations where there's Kelsey Mitchell in front of our bench, 3-2-1, has to shoot a three, and we stayed off her and she drains a three." But here's where it gets really interesting. Reeve admitted that their game plan just wasn't enough. She said, "I think the stuff that we did, we don't really know what else we could do." Can you imagine a coach with Reeve's experience saying they're out of ideas? That's the Clark effect for you. So what does this mean for future games against Clark? Reeve's comments suggest teams might need to completely rethink their strategies. She even questioned her own decisions, saying, "I'm not sure if we're going to love that we were small. Maybe we should have stayed big and get a little more pressure on the inside." It's clear that Reeve and her team learned some hard lessons. They now know that traditional defensive schemes might not cut it against Clark. Her ability to create opportunities for her teammates is just as dangerous as her own scoring. Reeve's insights also highlight Clark's potential in the WNBA. If she's already causing this much trouble for experienced coaches and teams, imagine what she could do as she gains more experience. Reeve's comparison to Bird and Magic isn't just about selling tickets. It's about the potential to change the game. But here's the thing, Reeve's candid assessment isn't just about one game or one player, it's about the future of the WNBA. Clark's impact is already being felt across the league, and it's only her rookie season. How will other teams adapt? What new strategies will we see? Reeve's final words sum it up perfectly. "We gotta focus on winning the next game. We'll look at some things to see how we can be better against Atlanta." It's clear that the lessons learned from facing Clark will influence how teams prepare for future games, not just against the Fever, but against all their opponents. Reeve's confession about Clark has sent shockwaves through the WNBA community. Fans and media can't stop talking about it. What's everyone saying? And how might this change things for Clark in the league? Social media is blowing up with reactions. Some fans are praising Reeve for her honesty, while others are questioning her coaching abilities. But one thing's for sure, everyone's talking about Caitlin Clark. This confession could be a game changer for Clark's reputation in the league. When a respected coach like Reeve admits they're out of answers, it speaks volumes. It's not just about one game anymore. It's about Clark's potential to reshape women's basketball. What do you think this means for the WNBA? Could Clark's impact lead to more attention and growth for the league? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.